handful of pills and took on out of the parking lot, there was going to be a crash and someone was going to get killed.
And those are my friends who were killed.
Nearly 2 years after an unthinkable tragedy.
To count one, what is your verdict?
Guilty of second-degree murder.
Justice for the families of 5 people killed by a drugged-out driver and the 4 people who survived that horrific crash.
This has been a long road.
I just wanted to bring that home for the families. Felt vindicated.
Vindicated is a good word.
Tonight, all those impacted by Charles Pickett Jr.'s terrible choice are trying to move forward.
It's a huge weight lifted. I think that's the most important thing for the families that lost people and for the survivors.
It was so physically and emotionally draining to be in the courthouse. Our friends can't do this anymore, so it's tough. Like, it still feels good for us, but you know, their lives are never going to be the same, and they could never do that ride.
It was a celebratory but somber bike ride through Kalamazoo tonight, just hours after a jury handed down guilty verdicts in the 2016 Kalamazoo biking tragedy. Larry Pollock, Melissa Phoebe Hughes, Suzanne Sipple, Debbie Bradley, and Tony Nelson were all killed. Sheila Jeske, Paul Runnels, Paul Gobble, and Jennifer Johnson survived, but each with critical injuries.
Nearly 2 years later, it took jurors less than 4 hours to convict Charles Pickett Jr. on 14 felonies, including 5 counts of second-degree murder. Tonight, crash survivors and families of those killed are celebrating the end of an emotional and painful trial.
News Channel 3's Anna Giles spoke with a few of them today. She is live now on North Westnedge at the Ghost Bike Memorial to the victims of this tragedy. Anna.
Andy and Kate, this Ghost Bike Memorial honors the 5 people who were killed in this tragedy and sadly can never ride a bike again. Their friends, the survivors, did a symbolic bike ride this afternoon, just hours after the verdict.
Rolling. Fear is not an option for these survivors. The chain gang is back on the road, biking the route they know best. Tonight, they celebrate justice 2 years in the making.
It just feels good to finish it. Even as we were rolling in at the very end, I was pretty emotional again, just thinking that our friends can't do this anymore.
Survivors Jennifer Johnson and Paul Runnels remembering the friends they lost and grateful to be out of the courtroom.
On the way down here to start the ride, I was starting to have just waves of relief.
What's the verdict?
And it just felt good to be out riding instead of doing the trial.
It was so physically and emotionally draining to be in the courthouse, and this is celebratory. We're out with our friends, we're doing what we love, and it is such a good release for us.
Others connected to this tragedy will never find such peace. For Guy Hughes, ex-husband of victim Melissa Phoebe Hughes, a guilty verdict in this case can never be enough. He says Charles Pickett Jr. deserves the murder charges, but that won't bring back Melissa.
This was served, but you know, it doesn't feel that way with Melissa gone. I thought I might feel better after this, but it feels even worse.
The survivors know his pain and feel it every day as they continue to recover from a reckless crash 2 years ago that changed so many lives.
Now, I still have some things I'm working through, some things that I will likely carry with me for the rest of my life, but I'm up, I'm riding, I got my family, so things are going great.
Moving forward, one bike ride at a time.
The chain gang is planning to do a memorial bike ride this year. This will be the second one they've done. That's coming up in June. For now, live in Kalamazoo County, Anna Giles, News Channel 3.
Crash survivors and the victims' families broke down in tears as Pickett was found guilty of murder this afternoon. Pickett's attorneys never fought the 9 drug driving charges he faced, but they did cast doubt on whether his actions on the night of that crash fit the criteria for murder. News Channel 3's Rachel Glazer was in court for the verdict and talked to a member of the jury about why they decided that murder was the right charge.
Twisted metal tangled under the pickup truck that plowed into a group of bicyclists at about 60 miles an hour. The driver, Charles Pickett Jr., appears completely out of it in a video recorded after the crash that killed 5 people and seriously injured 4 other cyclists.
Guilty of second-degree murder.
to prove this was second-degree murder and not just driving while intoxicated causing death. Prosecutor Michael Kanabi walked jurors through more than a dozen close calls Pickett had with drivers around Kalamazoo County in the hour leading up to the crash.
Mr. Pickett's not totally oblivious to what's going on around him. He had an opportunity right there to stop, pull over, but he didn't do it. He kept going, and he smashed into those people, destroying them, their bodies, their lives.
The defense argued the state's murder case was built on speculation about what was going through Pickett's mind while driving with a cocktail of drugs in his system.
I don't think these bottles have any of those little circles with the line through them saying don't drive.
Well, there's 15 warnings along the way that should have got his attention.
4 911 calls came in the half hour before the crash to report a pickup seen swerving into oncoming traffic, speeding in and out of bike lanes, jumping curbs, taking down a street sign, and cutting across a yard.
That isn't a warning sign that something's wrong with you, that you're physically not capable after just taking a bunch of pills that you threw down your throat?
It took the jury just 3.5 hours to convict Pickett on all 14 felony charges, including 5 counts of murder.
He chose to keep going, which obviously resulted in, the death of 5 people.
A crash that changed so many lives forever.
I just wanted to bring that home for the families.
A case that took nearly 2 years to take to trial. Prosecutor Kanabi says justice delayed is not justice denied.
So, yeah, relief and a lot of tears over their joy.
Well, News Channel 3 has followed every development in the Kalamazoo biking tragedy since we arrived first at the crash scene on June the 7th of 2016. 1 week later, famed cyclist Lance Armstrong came to Kalamazoo and finished the ride that the crash victims could not, along with hundreds of other local bicyclists. West Michigan has changed after the tragedy, in the cities of Kalamazoo and Portage specifically, both passing new rules to keep bike riders safer on the roads. Ordinances installed last year require that drivers give bike riders at least 5 feet of space when passing them on the road. It's been a long road to get where we are now, and it is not quite over yet. The Kalamazoo County prosecutor says that Pickett will be sentenced next month. Now, he could receive life in prison for each of the 5 second-degree murder convictions. He's facing additional prison time for his 9 counts of drug driving causing death and serious injury. You can count on News Channel 3 and our website as the Kalamazoo biking tragedy trial finally comes to a close in June.
Heading to Kalamazoo now for a live look over downtown from our Peregrine Tower camera. West Michigan is warm, windy, and extremely dry. All 3 of those conditions are combining to form a dangerous combination. Right now, crews are working a massive 250-acre wildfire near Bills Lake, east of Newego off M82. Police say folks who live nearby should be ready to evacuate immediately in case those winds shift. Chief Meteorologist Keith Thompson is live in Severe Weather Center 3 to tell us when our fire danger will drop. Keith.
You know, Kate, I think it will be gradually dropping a little bit tomorrow. Still not a good idea to do any outdoor burning tomorrow. It will fall even more on Thursday because that's when we're going to have some widespread rain, and we certainly need it. It's just ground clutter right now on live Doppler radar. Let me show you where the real stuff is. Right here, and you can see our lightning detector is alive from just west of Green Bay right down to about Madison, Wisconsin. This line actually goes back through Iowa all the way into Kansas, where it's been a rough ride. About 24 tornadoes reported so far, mainly in Kansas. That whole complex is going to be working its way in our direction. It's going to take a little while, though, to get here and to affect us. In the meantime, how about this summer night? That's right, this is like summer. 71 in Kalamazoo and Battle Creek. It's still 76 in Hastings and 73 in Allegan. South Haven at 76 degrees. Well, tomorrow morning, a couple of showers look like they'll be passing through. And as a result, we have a chance for a shower at the bus stop. That temperature right around 62 degrees. As we go through the day, though, I think it's just going to be mainly a mix of sun and clouds with a high of 78. I'll have the hour-by-hour report on that rain that comes in Thursday. That's coming up. Andy?
All right, Keith, thank you. New tonight, a West Michigan man is killed when a falling tree hits his Jeep. It happened about 3 p.m. on Grand River Avenue between Buell and Guilford Roads in Lowell. Now, the Kent County deputies on the scene say that 90-year-old Howard Thumser of Lowell died. 83-year-old Judith Thumser was hospitalized tonight with minor injuries.
A second West Michigan man was also killed by a falling tree today. The Cass County Sheriff's Office says a man was cutting a tree down on White Temple Road near Quaker Street, north of Vandalia, around noon. That tree fell into a second tree and onto 73-year-old Robert Wright from Vandalia. Wright died from his injuries at the scene. Well, jury selection picks back up tomorrow for the Jessica Herringa murder trial. The Muskegon County mother vanished during her overnight shift at a Norton Shores gas station in 2013. Police had no leads until 2 years ago. That's when a teenage girl who escaped an attempted kidnapping identified her attacker as Jeffrey Willis. Police then linked him to Herringa's disappearance and to the 2014 murder of Rebecca Bletch. Willis was convicted of Bletch's murder last year and received life in prison. News Channel 3 is watching this second murder trial for Willis and the 5-year mystery of Jessica Herringa's disappearance for you closely. If you haven't already, download our free News Channel 3 mobile app right now for automatic updates on this trial all the way to its verdict.
Coming up, the politics of pot. Michigan voters could legalize it in November, but many are worried about how that decision could impact our kids.